Hey everybody, it's Pete Toll, aka PT Sports 84, back with another video. NBA 2K dropped a official ratings update. It's the sixth ratings update of the season for NBA 2K23. Today is Thursday, January 26, 2023. Um, we have some interesting changes in this update. I'm going to go ahead and let everybody know because I know a lot of retro guys pop in and watch these videos. There's no retro content update. No Luol Deng, no Jose Calderon, no Mike McGee, no Liddell Eccles. Nothing for the retro content in this update. And that's because the roster dev that works on the current rosters is not the same one that updates the historic content or the all-time content or the eras content. So no retro content has been updated. Hopefully that'll come soon once they get more players rights acquired, and then they can update all at once. That's what I'm hopeful for. But anyway, let's jump into the current rosters um, update. What's up, Coach? Yeah, we'll see what happens if Anthony Davis could not sprain his ankle on basically a half-court heave um, in the game. But we'll see if he can stay healthy. The key is Anthony Davis staying healthy. But let's jump into the roster update. So Philadelphia 76ers, who we're starting with, +1 for Joel Embiid. He's now a 97 overall. Obviously, Embiid has been killing it lately. Really doing a great job for the 76ers. Basically 34 points a game, leading the league um, as far as um, points per game. So great to see that. Embiid should have went up last update, in my opinion, but they finally get him here. So definitely glad to see that. DeAnthony Melton took over the starting two-guard spot. Now Tyrese Maxey's now the sixth man. DeAnthony Melton drops 2 overall to a 77. Hasn't been really shooting it great as of late. Something that I don't understand why 2K doesn't do. Paul Reed has been out of the rotation consistently for over a month, yet he's still a 76 overall. That can't happen. They've got to figure out this formula with the center spot with overinflation. Guys like Paul Reed, Dwayne Dedman, JaVale McGee, all those guys are still rated extremely high, despite having no production for their teams. They've got to figure out how to fix that overall formula to get those guys down. But anyway, that's all the changes for the Sixers. Just two guys, Joel Embiid going up and D'Anthony Melton going down. Milwaukee Bucks. Drew Holiday has been killing it, 26 per game. And this is based on basically 2-week stats since the last update, going from January 11th to yesterday, or through yesterday's games. They did not count last night's game, so basically Tuesday's games. What's up, Kerry? What's up, Hugo? Hey, guys. Anybody I missed, sorry. I'm switching back and forth because I've got my notes to follow. So if I missed anybody, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Drew Holiday goes up 1 to an 87 overall, well deserved for him. Grayson Allen goes +1 to a 77 overall, and then Joe Ingles goes +1, who's been playing really well for them. Interesting, they changed Joe Ingles' position to shooting guard, but then they left Pat Connaughton, who's a small forward. They left him at shooting guard. Interesting thing there. No other changes for the team elsewhere. That's it for them. They did injure Bobby Portis, who's going to be out for a couple weeks. Going over to the Chicago Bulls. Zach LaVine goes +1 to an 86 overall, +1 for Nikola Vucevic as well. He's been really playing well. 21 and 12 over the last 2 weeks. Patrick Williams finally gets a boost, +2 for him to a 77 overall. Really kind of coming into his own lately. We get a drop for Goran Dragic, goes -1 there. So interesting to see. They did not update Kobe White who has been playing well. I thought for sure that Kobe White would get a little bit of a bump, maybe like a +1, considering he's been averaging about 13 points a game, but nothing for him. Nothing for DeMar DeRozan. He's kind of been up and down as far as the offensive end. So that's it for the Chicago Bulls. Going over to the Cleveland Cavaliers, we get a +1 for Darius Garland, +1 for Evan Mobley, and then +1 for Karis LeVert. They didn't touch Ricky Rubio. I guess they're waiting to see how he plays as far as the next couple games coming back from injury. But they did drop Kevin Love -2 to a 77 overall. He's been really struggling lately. +1 overall for Isaac Okoro as well. So good to see that. No other changes for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but they did change Dylan Windler to shooting guard in this update. Anybody that wants to follow along with these changes, I already posted them on Operation Sports, the written changes, so you can look at those and kind of get an idea of what was changed overall for teams. Another player that's overinflated is Blake Griffin, who's been playing awful, basically averaging 1 point a game, barely playing, and he's still a 76. They don't change him. I don't get it. But they did change Grant Williams. He goes down -1 to a 76. And then Malcolm Brogdon goes +1 to an 83. In my opinion, Brogdon's the sixth man of the year. I don't care what anybody says about Russell Westbrook. When you throw the ball away at the end of the game and basically cost your team a win versus a team that's been just steamrolling in the East, it's got to be Malcolm Brogdon for me. Yeah, Hugo, that's exactly where I have Blake Griffin at a 73. And, just my personal edits. I don't get it. Riz, yeah, man, like it seems like it's just with the centers. It's only the center position. They won't drop it because of the overinflation in rebounding and all that. But Blake Griffin doesn't even rebound. And he doesn't play defense. So it's like kind of like, what are they looking at or, as they go? I don't get it. Speaking of what are they looking at, no update to Kawhi Leonard, who's been annihilating teams. He's back healthy, has been for a month, and no update. He's lower than Jimmy Butler right now at the small forward spot, and I just can't agree with that. Like, Kawhi Leonard should have went up 2, at least, if not 3, in this update. He's been a monster on both sides of the ball since coming back. 29 points a game, 57% from the floor, and 44% from 3 over the last 2 weeks. To go with 6 rebounds and 4 assists. How do you not increase him overall? I don't get it. +1 for Norman Powell, averaging 21 points a game, 55% field goal percentage, 56 from 3. So I agree with that. Ivica Zubac goes +1 to a 79. They changed Terrence Mann to point guard. He's now taking over the starting job. They upped Robert Covington +1 to a 75. And then that's it for changes for the Clippers. But I just can't get over Kawhi Leonard not getting a boost. I mean, out of anybody in this update, Kawhi should have been the one that went up. I don't understand it, but, to each their own. Memphis Grizzlies. They are really, really behind Jaren Jackson Jr. this year. He goes a +1 again to an 87. You cannot tell me Jaren Jackson Jr. is an 87 overall. Like 2 away from Domantas Sabonis? I love Jaren Jackson Jr., but offensively, he doesn't bring it like he does blocking shots. He doesn't rebound well. He's not an 87. I'm sorry. He's just not. 85, I can say, okay, that's fine. But an 87, no way. Desmond Bane goes +1 to an 85 overall. Steven Adams +1 to an 82 overall. He's now out for, 3 to 5 weeks. Dylan Brooks goes +1 to an 80. Brandon Clark goes +1 to a 78. Then you've got John Conchar dropping 3 to a 74. I mean, that's fine, I guess. I don't think he should have dropped 3 whenever you don't re-rate David Roddy, who's been sitting at a 72 all season. You could at least bumped him one and then kept Conchar at a 75, in my opinion. That's where I would have had him. But to each their own. That's all the changes for the Memphis Grizzlies. Going over to the Atlanta Hawks. No love for DeJounte Murray. I thought Murray could have went up one. Clint Capella does go up one. He goes to an 83 overall. DeAndre Hunter finally hits the 80 overall club. He is an 80 plus one. Bogdan Bogdanovic goes -2 to a 78. AJ Griffin +1 to a 78. No drop for Frank Kaminsky, who's basically not even in the rotation. No increase for Jalen Johnson, who's been playing well lately. Then we've got position changes for Justin Holiday and Trent Forrest. And then going over to the Miami Heat. No adjustment for Bam Adebayo. Who they did adjust, just 2 players. Tyler Hero goes down 1, and Kyle Lowry goes down 1. No update except for position for Victor Oladipo. I thought he could go +1. No downgrade for Dwayne Dedmon, who literally is not playing for them. No love for Gabe Vincent, despite averaging 16 points a game, 41% from 3. I thought he could at least go up 1. No love for him at all. No other changes for the team. As far as like ratings and stuff, a lot of times you'll see the intangible rating go up and down. And you'll see some of the shooting ratings, but nothing for defense, nothing as far as like athletic ratings, very often. What they do change, they change some badges for players. I'm not a badge guy. I don't go through and type out badge numbers. If you want badge counts, the best person to go with is the Real 2K Insider. John does a great job of usually posting under mine on the Operation Sports forums and adds who changed where for badges. That's the best info I can give you as far as badge changes. And usually there's a few sprinkled in, not much, but there's a few sprinkled in in each roster update. So going over to the Charlotte Hornets, only 2 players changed for them. One player I didn't understand why he didn't get an update is PJ Washington. I thought he's been playing well. He should have went up 13 points a game. I thought he could at least go bump +1. Nick Richards, funny enough, Joe House and Bill Simmons and all them basically called him Nick Adams. I thought that was funny on their podcast, but no change there. No change for Jalen McDaniels, who's been playing really well, especially defensively. But they did change Terry Rozier +1. And then looking at Mason Plumlee, he goes +1 as well. Both have been playing really well, so those are needed changes. But, yeah, the other guys sprinkled in here, they really need to update that. Like I said, the formula for the centers, especially backup centers, is awful, like horrendous. Because there's no way that Dwayne Dedmon, Nick Richards, JaVale McGee, all those guys should be 77 overall. Blake Griffin is 76. There's no reason for it at all. Like, those are overinflations by at least three points at minimum. So it just doesn't make sense to me at all. Going over to the Utah Jazz, we got some changes for them. Jordan Clarkson +1 to an 82. Walker Kessler, who's been playing amazing, goes +3 to an 80 overall. No change for Mike Conley. I thought he's been playing well, 14 and 7, 48% from the floor, 48% from 3. In the last 2 weeks, I thought he deserved to go up. No downgrade for Talen Horton-Tucker, but they did downgrade Malik Beasley, which doesn't make sense because Beasley's been starting games at small forward for them lately. I thought that Talen Horton-Tucker could go down to a 75 or a 74, and Beasley could have stayed at a 77. Ochai Agbaji has been playing well. No rating change for him, but he did get a position change to small forward. And then that's it for the Utah Jazz. Going over to the Sacramento Kings, Domantas Sabonis. Um, I thought he could be in the 90 overall club essentially, but he does go +1 to an 89. Kevin Herter goes +1 to an 81. Harrison Barnes +1 to an 80. I thought Barnes and Herter could be at the same level. Malik Monk has stunk, literally been terrible over the last 3 weeks to a month, and he's still a 79. I don't get why he didn't drop. Keegan Murray goes +1. He's been playing great lately. Here's another one, Trey Lyles, that goes up a bunch. He goes +3 to a 78. Another one that's overinflated, Chimezie Metu, literally has not been in the rotation, but he goes +1 somehow, even though he hasn't played hardly at all, because Rashawn Holmes is getting those very limited spot minutes. I don't get it, but 2K has their own algorithm, whatever they want to type in. But that 77 overall is a little high. Lyle should be the 77. Metu should be like a 75. But that's just me. New York Knicks. 2 changes for them. Jalen Brunson +1 to an 87. He's now tied with Randall for the lead on the team. I don't know how RJ Barrett is still an 84. They've overinflated him for a while. Barrett should be like an 82, in my opinion. Obi Toppin doesn't get a drop. He's still a 78 despite being horrendous, like 6 points a game over the last 2 weeks. Hasn't shot it well either. Jericho Sims gets a big boost, 77 +2. No drop for Derrick Rose despite really being out of the rotation. Has really suffered a decline lately. Miles McBride gets no change. McBride has been in the rotation and playing well. Shoots a good above average mid-range shot. Good ball handling, good passer, good defensively. Could at least have gone +1